Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin Show. Today is June the 13th, 2023. Strong hand, long-term thinking. Be a unique beast. Don't be a tree. Offended by selling. Pound that like button, people. I'm doing this on the backup channel. Maybe I'll put this on the main channel eventually. Total stream of consciousness. I am in Salt Lake City. I wrote down some ideas. I've been writing down some ideas. First off, link to below. I did a show with Luke from Australia lately. You got to watch it. It was awesome. It's linked to below. Follow me on Twitter, TECHBALT. That's where I am all the time. For all you people that say, why don't you do videos anymore? I do videos there. I do all sorts of stuff there. Whatever. This shirt was given to me by the great BitcoinBam.com when I was in Miami back in May at the Bitcoin Magazine Conference 2023. It was a great time. Got to see Vivek speak. Get to see RFK Jr. speak. I'll talk about that since this is a Beyond Bitcoin show. But Bam is a great guy. I've met him before. He gave me this shirt. If you give me a shirt, I'll wear it on the show. I've told people that before. We've got other shirts I've got to wear. I am in Salt Lake City right now, and that's going to be where I'm going to be for quite a few months. I love it here. And it's a topic that I'm going to talk about today. And I've talked about before about culture and the United States having 50 different, at least 50 different cultures, but you have options. Don't be a tree. If you don't like it in Maryland, move to Utah, move to Salt Lake City. Spend a lot of time here. There's lots of different ways to construct your life. You don't have to do things the traditional way. But again, this shirt you can get to, it's linked to below, bitcoinbam.com. So let's start out with Mountain West freedom here. I mean, walking around this city, it's so quiet, Doria. You go to walk at 7 p.m., you hear nothing. Like in Baltimore, you better believe you hear stuff. Oh, my Lord. Wow, it's crazy. But it's a very polite culture here. Hello, everyone in the chat. Yeah, by the way, we can't do super chat on the backup channel here, but type in, get my attention somehow, ask me questions, I'll answer. And you can send me, donations help. We need $88 more to do the next one Bitcoin show. I only do one Bitcoin shows when I make deals with certain people. I get sent $100 by a bunch of other people. So we need $88 for the next one Bitcoin show. I thank the people who have hooked me up below. They're listed below, the guys who recently relatively recently sent some super chats. So, yes, Salt Lake City, beautiful. Best, I've said this before. You guys asked me, what's the best? You travel all around, Adam. What's the best city in the United States? Best city with a sports team, best major league city, I have said before, is Salt Lake City. They have a basketball team. Obviously, last night, I guess their rival won the title. Wow. Who'd ever thought the Nuggets would win the championship? For first time in my life. First time in probably everybody. Well, it was excuse me. Of course, it was the first time. They'd never won before. Yeah. Tay International's in the house. Never been to Salt Lake City. Hope to check it out one day. Well, Tay, one thing you will notice demographically, and again, you are a very intelligent man. Some people always, we all have a little bit of primitiveness in us. And one of my, and I'm going to go over my 7 philosophies, my 7-pronged philosophy in a second. Let's start the show off with my 7-pronged philosophy and tie it into something that Tay is going to notice if he's in Salt Lake City. I mean, it is something you notice when you're from the East Coast, because we've been raised in this primitive way to see things through a racial lens. And I am so against that. But even I noticed, and Tay will notice this in Salt Lake City. And we shouldn't. We should see one of my, something philosophically here, see things through a cultural lens. And the culture here is way different than where we grew up in Baltimore or Washington, D.C. area or whatever. But I'll leave it at that. I wouldn't even say what you're going to notice on the racial lens here. It's a different demographics in Baltimore, to say the very least. But just because Baltimore has different demographics doesn't mean that Baltimore's culture could learn a lot from Salt Lake City. It could be a polite culture. It could be a non-violent culture. It could be a culture that doesn't worship the victim. Okay, like here in Salt Lake City. Now, there's a lot of progressive stuff here in Salt Lake City. You see the flag of all sorts of rainbow flags. By the way, you don't see as many Ukrainian flags anymore here. I've seen like 2 Ukrainian flags. When the last time I was here in October, there were plenty. Okay, they're like 2 now. All right. So the trendies have just, they're into the rainbow flags. That is fine. It doesn't hurt me. I'm a confident decentralist. All right. The Nuggets are now the cream of the crop, not the McNuggets. Yeah, that's apparently, yeah. That was Serbian is real good or something. I don't know. I don't know about the NBA. I know about MLB, okay? And you know who I know about in MLB. I might be in Salt Lake City now, but my loyalty never will go away from the Baltimore Orioles, who are just playing incredibly this year. It's just, that's something you can leave Baltimore. That's something from our culture you just can't shake, okay? I mean, culturally, I've moved beyond Baltimore, but I can't move beyond that one aspect of it. The Baltimore Orioles, being a fan of the Orioles. I am addicted. I eagerly wait for the return to the World Series. It has been a 40-year wait for the people of Baltimore. You never know. You never know when it's going to be 1983 again. Pound that like button. May it happen soon. So let us, and I don't want this show to take up too much time, and hopefully I will edit it and make little shows out of it. And I encourage all of you to edit it and stuff. Yeah. Rainbow flags are everywhere in Utah, says Lance. I mean, I seriously doubt they're in, in St. Whatever it is, St. George's. I mean, it's a very religious city there. And the Mormon culture that underlies all of this, okay? The people rip on the Mormons nonstop. I mean, what they set up this culture originally here, okay? Beautiful grid city, set up so nicely, so easy to navigate, trees, cleanliness, and now the people rip on them. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they're still here. They are quietly polite. They are very respectful. Maybe some of them have the rainbow flags up. I don't care. Maybe some of them have the BLM signs up. They're more BLM signs, Black Lives Matter signs, than black people here. I mean, overwhelming amount. I mean, it's not even funny how many more BLM signs there are than black people here. But I don't see things through a racial lens. Right there. That I should not have done that. That's the Baltimore beat coming out. It's cultural lens. People respect the culture of Salt Lake City. I respect the culture of Salt Lake City. I don't respect the culture of Baltimore City. My Lord, it's become insane there. Just horrifying. And I've seen it. So Mountain West freedom, we're going to get to it. The 6 beautiful, that should be nullifying federal laws. Should already, to get into Bitcoin here, we're getting to a situation where the current regime is really trying to rip down on Bitcoin. Now it can get worse if what's her face ever came to power. God forbid. God forbid, the Elizabeth Warren ever became president. But the Biden administration rolls toward her. So we have to be confident decentralists and say, wait a second, there's got to be some states out there that have governors that have the cojones that will nullify this stuff. So start it now, governors of Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. I've been to, and maybe Alaska. I've been to all 7 of those states. Alaska is in the Mountain West. Alaska has its own issues because I didn't like, at first during the virus, I don't think you could fly there or something like that. So I'm always suspicious of Alaska because of that, because they're not connected to the continental United States. And I lived through that situation, the virus thing, where islands became nightmares. Hawaii, Puerto Rico, nightmares for freedom. But definitely the 6 Mountain West states, which all have parts of their states, at least in the mountain time zone. These are places you can go to and no one's going to, but you can do your own thing in these states. So, and by the way, Utah and Idaho might already be too far gone. Their governors might already be too scared to go against certain aspects of the population to have the cojones enough to nullify federal laws. This should be something they should start right now, not when it's too late. When Biden's in the second term, it's already horrible. Then it's already Bitcoin's and Bitcoin can beat anything, and Bitcoin will survive anything. But it is a pain what the SEC and Gary Gensler and all those people are doing now. They have no authority to do this whatsoever. It's the Congress, okay? And first of all, and if Gary Gensler has the magic ability all of a sudden to make laws, Gary Gensler is just a Jewish guy from Baltimore like me. That's all he is. He has the ability to make laws now. But if he does, for some reason, these states should put their feet down right now and say, no, we're not going to enforce this nonsense here. Come to our states to become the richest states. And Wyoming's already on the way to do that, okay? But I would love it to be in Utah. I would love it to be here. Salt Lake City is the other states. Well, Boise is a big city, but the other 4 states I mentioned are 5 states. Anchorage is okay, but again, North Dakota, South Dakota. What are the other 2 that I do? Okay, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana don't have big cities. Okay, they have nice cities. I've explored them all. Sioux Falls is great. Everybody from Minneapolis is moving there. Well, why is everybody from the Twin Cities moving to Sioux Falls anyway? Culture, okay? In the Twin Cities, now you can burn and loot and stuff. Sioux Falls, no, it's family atmosphere here, and it's Salt Lake City. You see the rainbow flags, but it's a family atmosphere. Boise is a bigger, financial. More so of a family atmosphere than Salt Lake City. It's a smaller city. Okay, so we've rambled on about that for a while. I wanted to give you my 7, and I've said these 7 pillars before. Part of my be a confident decentralist, freedom of association, no class warfare, and this is something, no scapegoating. Don't blame, just fix the situation, okay? I could blame Gary Gensler, but no, I want to fix the situation. Okay, Bitcoin will go beyond that. All right, I'm not saying Gary Gensler is the SEC is the worst thing on the face of the earth. No, we can ignore that. We can go beyond that. Number 5, this is a golden age. This is an age of abundance. Never forget that. If you start to forget that, if you lose that from your philosophy, you become a victim. You think it's a win. And number 6, win-win situation. Life is not a zero-sum game. Okay, people like to ripple, say capitalism, there's winners and losers. No. There's winners and winners in capitalism, all right? And all the haters out there, like Elizabeth Warren, try to project it a different way. If Elon Musk is doing well, everybody else is doing bad. No, you're doing well too. You do well also. So win-win situations, let them dominate your life. And view life through a cultural lens. And you have to use your brain. You cannot, if you see life through other lens, like the racial lens, like the class lens, okay, that you're primitive. You go to your lizard brain, okay? And it's seeing life through a cultural lens is a nice way of saying be sophisticated, okay? Be sophisticated. You know what I mean, all right? This whole racial class nonsense out there, no sophistication at all, even though it's college education. It's so embarrassing. People who think they're the smartest of the smart, that go to these colleges, they have these primitive philosophies. They should be the ones that are the most sophisticated, but they're not. Even though they come from wealthy families and stuff, they're not sophisticated when they start to make up these, see life through racial lens and see and try to start class warfare. And I want to say, when I drove from Miami to Salt Lake City in May, I listened to 2 books, plenty of podcasts, but one book was 1984. We're going to talk about that. And I want to talk about the Communist Manifesto. Yes, I listened to Marx's Communist Manifesto. All right. And everyone should listen to it, should read it. It's short. They're not hiding anything there. It is all about envy And it is all about taking away your private property. And these Gnostic leaders, all right, it's not all private property. There's some private property that's okay. And who decides that? They decide that. They get to have the private property, okay? It's not hidden at all. And there's some parts. I mean, I was very surprised that Marx straight up attacked Germany in the Communist Manifesto. He said that that was their target, was Germany, because it was so industrialized already that was late stage capitalism, basically, and would lead to his form of socialism. And only his form of socialism, which is communism, is the real socialism, which, I mean, perfectly sets up the World War II situation, where you have a demagogue like the man who's in charge of Germany, the worst person in the history of mankind, who said, look, they're against us. It says in this manifesto they're against Germany. And sadly, he was right. Now, who did he scapegoat with the communists? Who did he tie into people of my religion, the Jewish religion? He tied it all together, scapegoating the communists, scapegoating the Jews, basically saying, well, the communists said that the Germans are the problem. It's the Jews are saying, I mean, it's disgusting. That's why one of my pillars of life is no scapegoating. When you scapegoat, like the Communist Manifesto over and over and over again, is scapegoating the capitalists, is scapegoating the bourgeoisie, whatever you want to call it. Oh, it's just like Hitler, scapegoat. I mean, it's the same type of thing. They must have these enemies. And the Communist Manifesto hides nothing. So then we move on to 1984. All right, the book 1984, I never read it, but a lot of people have said, including myself, that's so like 1984, when you're talking about a totalitarian situation out there where they want to control every aspect of your life, the government, all right? It's easy to say that, and I've said it before. Oh, man, you get a whole new perspective when you've actually read the thing or listened to it. It is the worst of the worst. It goes beyond North Korea, okay, the book, 1984. It just shows certain aspects of these psychopaths, of these sociopaths, that power is the ultimate, they will do anything for power. It's extreme, okay? 1984 is extreme. The people in charge there will do anything, pain, violence, it doesn't matter, anything for power. Lies, just changing what is truth. There is no truth. The only truth in 1984 is what the government tells you, okay? That is the truth. And it is so sad, and really, obviously that is not the truth, but it got to a situation in the book 1984 where yes, 2 + 2 = 5. That should be the name of 1984, not 1984. That's too pleasant of a title for that book. It should be 2 + 2 = 5. And because that is what the government of in that book has convinced their people of, has successfully, and if they suspect that you don't believe that 2 + 2 = 5, they will torture you, they will kill you, they will do, and so that, it is not that extreme anywhere in the world, okay, and even North Korea, but that is the end game right there, okay, where you could be, where one country is your enemy, but then all of a sudden it's your friend, and it's always been your friend, and you can't remember that it was your enemy beforehand, because the government told you that. The government, our government tries to memory hole things just like this. So there are certain aspects of the book 1984, and it's once you've seen it all together in 1984, you see how scary it is. Where oh well, Fauci just lied about this and pretended that he never said that, and he's just an old man. But that's just take it to the extreme. If that lie is accepted, then the next lie is accepted. Then all of a sudden it becomes 2 + 2 = 5. And if you don't believe that, you're going to get shot in the back of the head. All right. And that's why we need people like, I say the federal government has way too much power. The president is worshipped. It's disgusting in our country. Okay. But we can't, it's better to have a dude like RFK out there who questions the security state, okay? RFK Jr. is saying things that Democrats no longer say. It is very refreshing. I'm still a registered Democrat in the state of Maryland. Obviously, I never changed that. I whatever, and I'm not going to change it because I don't believe in these political parties whatsoever. If people say, "Oh, yeah, you're a hypocrite," no, it's just a little card that you have, and what primary you get to vote in. Who cares? Voting is not that. It's not up there with godliness, okay? And I'm never going to put voting up there with godliness. But I am going to say that we need people who speak the truth, who just fitting in is overrated. And what we got now on the Republican, on the Democrat side, the mainstream media narrative, okay, is like anything for power. They are going to say 2 + 2 = 5 one day, some of these people. And that is scary. That people having children inform on you is something from 1984. That is a good thing that your children, your own flesh and blood, inform on you. What's that remind you of today? People want children to totally go against their parents. And the Communist Manifesto states that they want to rip the traditional family. It's all of these shared things, and they're not hiding it. BLM originally in their protocols said, destruction of the original of the traditional American family, the traditional family structure. That is Marxism right there. And it leads to a 2 + 2 = 5 situation where your Gnostic leaders define what the truth is, okay? And if you're not with the party, you're in big, big trouble. And you're not going to agree with RFK on everything, okay? He is a Democrat, but he has respect for the other party. He doesn't believe in just one party. He believes in discussion and going back and forth, talking. Vivek is the same way, all right? And DeSantis is a little bit more traditional. These are my 3 guys, okay, that politically, any of them becoming president, we're fine. Bitcoin is fine, okay? They all like Bitcoin, especially RFK and Vivek. Pound that like button for the speeches they gave at the event, okay? And it's just so funny how some of their followers are still worshipers of the mainstream media. I saw in various threads where RFK and Vivek had mentioned Bitcoin, people just start saying, "Oh my God, how can you believe in that? It's a scam. It's this. I respected you beforehand." They can't use their brains. They're just repeating the mainstream narrative. It is scary. That is why you should be on Twitter and tweet and treat people's Twitter pages as web pages. Read RFK's Twitter page. Read Vivek's. Vivek's is way too long, okay? Go to mine, TechBalt, okay? I am a great curator of these people, okay? Of all the, I'm going to tell you, all right? And I got to get more into this. I don't have a TV. Well, I think there's a TV. Well, I don't watch the TV. It's with this place. This Airbnb is great, by the way. Best neighborhood here in Salt Lake City is, it's got the hipsters in it. I should have said that at the beginning. Is Sugar House, and I'm going to go to another. I've got a great rental deal. I'm a wealthy guy. I still find great rental deals here in Salt Lake City. I still find free food growing from the trees. This is mulberries right here. All these people saying they're starving. All these people saying they're poor. All these people saying these cities are too expensive. No, you just can't. You don't control yourself at all. I found that my place is going to be small. It's a small studio I'm getting in Sugar House. And I'm already in a small studio in Sugar House, but I'm going to be in another one. And I got a 6-month deal with these dudes. Incredible, the lease. Incredible. Now, again, you pick this stuff. This is the healthiest berries out there. Berries are so healthy. By the way, I'm using Tally Health now. David Sinclair's Tally Health. I have subscribed to that. I did the age test, and it says I'm 1.5 years younger than I really am. So I'm doing the right thing, but I can do more. So Tally Health is not cheap. It's not super expensive like Health Nucleus in San Diego, but it is for, you got to have an income. You got to be wealthy. You got to have Bitcoin. You got to be all right. But I'm recommending Tally Health so far. David Sinclair, I'm not going to agree with David Sinclair on everything, but he believed in the shit. But he's got It's because David Sinclair, I'm a vegan and everything. Love, what else do I have here? Got some sweet potato, got some onion, but I've been picking mulberries since I was a kid in the suburbs of Baltimore. Okay. And they grow here and they grow everywhere in the United States. You have no excuse. 123 No Scope said the government memory hold Biden's exit from Afghanistan. Yeah, they did. That's just one of many. That's minor compared to they memory hold the whole 2020, all of 2020. They memory hold, and how the government in 2021, how the government it was colluding with was saying to the social media platforms, you're doing as we can't get rid of freedom of speech, but we're telling you to get rid of freedom of speech. Thus, we're getting rid of freedom of speech. Because a private corporation can do anything. That isn't censorship. But when the government tells them to censor it only the government can censor. And the government can do it through their proxies, which is so corrupt. And that's been totally memory hold. And but yes, I find great sources of news information out there. Glenn Greenwald is great. Okay. And I totally disagree with him about Israel. Totally disagree with it. He's a self-hating Jewish guy, to say the least, on a certain level. And but I am not one of these maniacs that can't take someone that has a different opinions than me. His show is great. It brings it analyzes the security state and the just the part of the government that is just anything for power. The 2 + 2 = 5 part of the government, and the just these people that are so power hungry. No, you can. They don't allow freedom of speech anymore, or they would love there not to be freedom of speech, and they so want to fit in. Now they're like, oh yeah, war with Ukraine. That's the cool thing. Let's do. You can't question narratives. It is just insane. And Glenn Greenwald rips it apart. He tells the truth about it. And he had RFK on yesterday. RFK Jr. on yesterday, and he is prodding RFK Jr. about Israel. But RFK Jr. said something that Democrats no longer say about Israel. I don't think any elected Democrat would say, and it's the straight up truth. It's the straight up truth. And I think people on the right are even scared because they don't want to offend anyone. They don't want to offend the woke people. Israel does not target civilians intentionally. Okay, during security activities, war activities, whatever you want to say, okay, whatever you want to call it, all right? Israel does not target civilians. The Arab countries, the Arabs within Judea and Samaria, the terrorists, the ones that are terrorists, and not all terrorists, target civilians. They intentionally target civilians. And RFK Jr. straight up said that. He straight up said that. But he was also saying, Israel is a democracy in the Middle East. We should support a democracy in the Middle East. And there's various ways of analyzing that, and that homosexuals is the best place in the Middle East for homosexuals, and that is true. In Saudi Arabia, what are they going to do to you? Saudi Arabia is our ally. What do they do to homosexuals? Oh, okay, but with all that in mind, still, it's very simple. Those other countries will target civilians. Israel does not target civilians, all right? And that's such a simple thing to say, and no one says it anymore. No one says something like that anymore because, Israel is rich. Israel is first world. And we have to support the victims. The victims are always right. That is woke culture right now. That's the best one of the best definitions of woke culture. I mean, you can define woke as weaponized political correctness. You can divide, woke as critical consciousness, which is a little bit more complicated. James Lindsay, which basically is people just analyze everything way too much. That is critical consciousness, where you see a situation and you're like, well, this is the real truth behind it. The real truth is, it always bleeds into they're the victim, thus they're right, even though they seem wrong. People burnt down property in Minneapolis, which is lawlessness. But because they were victims and because they were oppressed, you need to analyze the situation critically, and thus they were right. And thus I know the truth. Even though it seems like people who looted and burned in Minneapolis were on the wrong, they're the right. And I mean, they're and that's wokeness there. And again, that is a Gnostic leader telling you that 2 + 2 = 5. All right. So all of these movements, the very centralized movements, woke, communism, and what's the other one I'm forgetting? Woke, communism, socialism. There's something else. Excuse me. Of course, fascism. All of them are centralized, authoritarian regimes. Decentralization is the true next stage in the evolution of someone who is sophisticated. So that's one of the reasons I love Bitcoin so much. I kind of a sophisticated reason of loving Bitcoin. But guys, you got to get out of these centralized worshiping Trump too. That Trump is always right. It's sadly that is a form of fascism right there. Okay, it's 2 + 2 = 5. He says things that are totally lies all the time, and you're supposed to believe it. Okay, now is the media exaggerate his lies, but just because the media exaggerate his lies doesn't mean you have to believe his little white lies. Okay, or he's got some pretty major. Be a confident decentralist. All right, think for yourself. And 1984, scary as heck to show how people will just easily give up. They're not going to think for themselves anymore. They're like, I don't want to die. I'm just like, I'm not going to think for myself anymore. And where the government wants to control what you think. They don't want you to think anymore. And there are people in the current regime who probably don't want you to think anymore. That is 1984. Don't think anymore. Just think about the regime. The regime is always right. 2 + 2 = 5. And it's funny, I put 1984 in the title of this. I should put 2 + 2 = 5 in the title of this, but not as many people will know what I'm talking about because they haven't actually read 1984. And I was guilty of that up till recently also. I'm very willing to. I did read Animal Farm. I can't tell you which one was better because I read Animal Farm. My private school, they probably don't do this anymore because they're woke now, but they had me read Animal Farm when I was in 6th grade. I read Animal Farm when I was 11 years old. So I can't really remember. I say the saying. I mean, the big lesson from Animal Farm is that the pigs became human at the end. If you read the book, you know what I mean. But it's meet the new boss, same as the old boss, is the lesson of Animal Farm. But this is 1984 is more complex, at least from what I can remember, and the lesson pertains more to today. 2 + 2 = 5. But I mean, another problem with society is that once people gain power, they become what they were once against, and that's Animal Farm. And as an 11-year-old, I did realize that, but you don't. I would recommend if you're going to read Animal Farm, don't read it in 6th grade when you're 11 years old. I mean, it's better to read it probably in 9th grade when you're 13 or 14. I was 13 at the beginning of. Well, in the United States, you can't be 13 any longer at the beginning, unless you're some genius or something like that. You can't be 13 any longer at the beginning of 9th grade. But I was back then, so I can pretend I'm a genius. I'm not. Pound that like button. All right. Let's move on here. I want to make sure I covered everything that's in the. So I talked about Mountain West Freedom. I talked about 1984. I talked about RFK, Israel. Oh, 4-way presidential race. I want to talk about. Okay, so we're gonna. I write down so many ideas, guys. I love being, in the financial situation anymore where I don't have to work at all and I can just philosophize all day and go running and worry about health and if I'm doing it right and stuff. And so I constantly write down all these ideas. I wish I could share every single one with you. That's something I don't like about my life is that I love to think. I love to use my brain, but I at moments like this, I wish I shared more. And I wish it was easier to do shows. It's not easy to do these shows. I hate doing the administrative side of these shows because there's no reason a man like me in the financial situation that I'm in, I should have an assistant. I'm too cheap to hire an assistant. I shouldn't be doing this stuff. And YouTube does not make it easy. And that is like the main reason I don't do the shows anymore, is because it's like an hour worth of admin, and plus the hour worth, what's not a half hour of admin. You have to do the thumbnail and tweet it out and do this and do that. And that's not what I'm here. That's a total waste of my time. But I have so many ideas that I wish I could share. I want to share with you. So, I mean, and most people don't read anymore. So I'm going to try I try to tweet them out every once in a while. But, and then I just lost, by the way, I just want to say that there's no such thing as trash. That is a great motto for someone who truly is a maker out there. This whole maker, self-replicating machines, this is going to be such a huge space. We're going to be able to have little machine. And this is something that I learned from Lex Friedman. And he doesn't have the best podcast out there, but he's got great guests. He's got issues, but he's too, my issue with him is he's just too obsessed with love. It is sickening. Oh God, I mentioned this before. But this goal, if you get your mind, if you have the golden age philosophy, you realize that we're going to be able to have machines one day that are going to be able to produce everything for us. All right. And recycle all of our trash. So there is the government decides what trash is. It's disgusting. They make these private corporations put expiration dates on their food. And then all these women in the suburbs of the north, from where I'm from the suburbs of Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, DC, Boston, like clockwork, throw away their food the day before the freaking expiration date, and then pay more money from Whole Foods for their food. No, that's not true. That's not trash, dudes. What we shouldn't have the government regulating food whatsoever. And if people want to sell food that's got a little mold on it for a discount, that would be great. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with selling bananas that look like this? What's wrong with that? No, the government says that's trash, that you got to throw this away. It's not trash. There could be discounted foods out there. There's nothing. It's just as healthy. Ugly food is. You're not. I mean, it is amazing what people throw away. The waste in the United States. That we should be techno waste farmers. Victor Davis Hanson was on the Hoover Institute yesterday. And Hoover Institute's got a great channel. Victor Davis Hanson is a pretty good guest that's appeared on many shows before. And I love, so yeah, Glenn Greenwald's got a great podcast. All In Podcast is also good. I know a lot of you hate Chamath because of his battles with Chamath can be obnoxious, but All In Podcast, you learn a lot on there too about how great a golden age we're in right now. So I've gone full circle. I'm a great curator of this stuff on TechBalt on Twitter. So follow me there, and you'll become more familiar with all these names that I'm throwing out right there. But we're on the verge with an AI is something you should not be scared of. There is a cult in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is producing a lot of great things. It's going to produce these self-replicating machines, these machines that are going to be able to produce other machines that are going to be able to recycle your trash. They're going to be able to make your shirts out of them. That are going to be able to make your bikes out of this stuff. All right. You won't have to import stuff from Vietnam, China, and all these other countries anymore. Not that there's anything wrong with that per se. It's great that we live in America where we don't have to have manufacturing slave labor type, and it's not really slave labor. I shouldn't use that term. It's working in Bangladesh in one of these companies for one of these, you're sewing shirts or you're making shirts. That's a lot better than living on some rice paddy farm where you're starving, where you have to sell your child into prostitution. Okay. So when people use the term slave labor, and I shouldn't have used it, to describe what's going on in these factories in Vietnam, Bangladesh, and not so much in China anymore, compare it to so you want them to sell their children into prostitution. So you want them to starve because that's what they had before. I mean, to live in squalor, to defecate all over themselves. I mean, it's much better to be paid $5 a day than have that lifestyle where you don't have to pimp out your children. I mean, isn't that bad? And what's wrong with a 15-year-old working? What's wrong with a 15-year-old working than having to sell your 15-year-old? Okay, this is people are just they got this Western mentality to them, and that's great that people haven't had to see these horrible parts of the world. That's great that we in the United States get to choose between living in a place like Salt Lake City or living in a place like Baltimore. Because with all what I've said about Baltimore, it's a lot better than living in squalor in India. Okay, and it is. Now there are some third world aspects of Baltimore. It's sad that it is. Some of it's falling apart, but it's never. United States is the best of the best, baby. The poorest of the poor here are better than such a large percentage of the United States of the rest of the world. Okay, tippity top of the spear here. All right. So, okay, we talked about trash, but I wanted to go over the other subject titles that I've forgotten, and then we can wrap up the show. And again, do a super chat, ask me questions. I'd be happy to answer your questions. And tell me what you think was the best part of the show. What I should clip and put onto my main channel. Oh man, where is the title? So Mountain West Free. Your 4-way presidential race. There are a lot of so-called experts out there who are saying that if DeSantis wins the Republican nomination, that Trump will run third party, and then Biden will become president. And for Bitcoin holders, that is the worst of the worst situation. The current regime staying in power is the worst scenario. And what can we do? Yeah, we can support RFK Jr. And there are people. Chamath is having a fundraiser for him, actually. And all these people have said he's a traitor because he's going to have a fundraiser. I mean, the people take this stuff like it is their religion. It is horrible. They're so on the road to 2 + 2 = 5. It's sickening. But what I say, I believe also that, if DeSantis does win the nomination of the Republican Party, which I think is possible, that Trump will run third party. But guess what else I think will happen? I think at that point, RFK Jr. will run fourth party. Who have you heard say that? No one. So that's a unique beast idea out there. And if those 4 people are running in a general election, first of all, if the Democrats really want power so much, just have Gavin Newsom run for president instead of Biden. Maybe that's what's really going to happen. If Gavin Newsom runs for president, he's going to become president probably because this country as a whole is too far gone. I don't think DeSantis could. Well, I know Trump couldn't beat Gavin Newsom because all the women of all the woke states or even the semi-woke areas will vote for Gavin Newsom. It's just he provides safety. He's a very good-looking man. It is scary. And that's something 1984 says they provide too. Safety. That's something we've heard all the time. And RFK Jr., he believes in, truth over safety. He believes in freedom over safety. All right? These lies about because safety is just an excuse for a power grab. And the Bill of Rights, it's so sad that the Democrats from the 60s, you never would predict they would become what they've become. Okay? And RFK is just a traditional Kennedy Democrat. I know that sounds, study who JFK was. Far from perfect individual. He's just saying what JFK said back in the 60s, okay? All right? There's not that much difference between RFK Jr. and JFK. Compared to Biden and JFK, compared Biden and JFK and RFK Jr. and JFK, and you'll see how much close, Biden is a warmonger. JFK tried to minimize war. All right. He did a good job of not getting us into a nuclear war with Russia over Cuba of all things. Oh my God. So think 4-way presidential race. It is something that could happen in the United States of America. And by the way, all you people in Europe and all over the world that are Bitcoin holders, you do have an interest in who becomes president of the United States as long as we worship the freaking federal government. So there is no harm in retweet. If you're a Canadian, Are you a Brit? There's no help. You're helping a Bitcoin's political cause if you retweet RFK and Vivek and DeSantis on a certain level. So I personally believe that there shouldn't be any restrictions on political contributions, that even if you're in China, that you should be able to contribute to presidential races in the United States, because it's just money flowing into America that is so good for our economy. It's such nonsense and lies that if Russians buy Facebook ads, that influences the election, that is somehow corrupt. Americans should be smarter than to say, "Ooh, there's a Facebook ad. It told me to vote for Trump. Thus, I'm going to vote for Trump." Come on. Are we that, or is everyone that much of a moron? Some people might be, but whatever. Again, I am all free market there shouldn't be special rules around elections. Let the money flow into America anyway. If Chinese want to waste billions on an American election, go for it. The rich get richer. If Russians want to, who cares about Russia? What a scapegoat that's become. One of my pillars of life, no scapegoating. Look how they scapegoat this weak, pathetic country. Cold. Everyone wants to get out of that country. It's such a lame country. And they scapegoat it for every problem that we have. Like, the reason Hillary lost the election was the Russians. I mean, it's this Cold War mentality they can revert to, because that narrative was so powerful once. It's somehow still stuck in the back of some people's brains. If you're addicted to that narrative still, and you're like in your 30s, I mean, wow, you really have let the government think for you. Because if you're in your 30s, it's like in your whole lifetime, Russia's never been really serious. They have nuclear weapons. That's it. That's the only thing. If they didn't have the nuclear weapons, they would be nothing but the Ukraine, which is a joke too. All right, Ukraine and Russia. I mean, Ukraine, at least a lot of the people there they don't want a dictator per se. That's cool. And they believe in technology there. There's technology people in Russia too. But there's plenty of people that just want a dictator, want centralized government. Whatever. This is United States. They would all give their left, their left testicle to get into the United States. So many people in these countries, okay? And there's a reason for that, because we have true economic freedom. We'd have better economic freedom if we get rid of all the regulation. And that's one of the things I love about Vivek. He is of all the, and DeSantis has gotten rid of the certain regulatory aspects of the government in Florida. But Vivek's better than him on that. But what are Vivek's chances? Maybe supporting Vivek is a great way to maybe getting him on to become vice president of the United States under DeSantis. You never know. Or becoming vice president under Vivek is a very smart guy. He's run successful businesses, and you see he understands Bitcoin when you hear him speak. Okay, so RFK Jr. obviously is part of the regulatory regime in the environment, and that makes him not perfect, but whatever. Freedom. There's some things that he believes in that really, he is so anti-security state, and RFK Jr. will finally reveal, how his uncle died. What was the real reason? And if the CIA killed JFK, and that is straight up in front of our faces, that will be the destruction of the security state. The CIA's power, because every 4 years, CIA's power grows more and more and more. We have people like Schumer who admit that, the CIA can take out a president if they wanted to. He said the 6 ways to Sunday, he described what they could do to Trump. You don't go against the CIA. What kind of country is that when some unelected secret agency gets to tell the elected leaders how to run the country? That's scary stuff. And RFK Jr. is against that. And so he'll right away, he'll say everything about Kennedy will finally be out there. Maybe the CIA didn't kill him. It really looks like the CIA killed Kennedy, though, okay? Wait, I should talk about the aliens and stuff. The alien stuff that's out there right now, guys, that might just be a distraction. All right. It might be a way to distract enemies of the United States. It might be a way to distract people in the United States from, questioning the CIA and the security state. I don't know. We need to see proof of this stuff. All right. If, a trusted person said he knows that there's alien craft or pieces of alien craft, you know what? Then let Avi Loeb see it. All right. Let someone else see it. It's still conjecture at this point. Is it more respectable conjecture? I guess, than some dude in a cornfield in Iowa saying he saw something, all right? But still, no one, put it on let a scientist see it. Let Avi Loeb see it. Avi Loeb, who is on Event Horizon, John Michael Gautier, a great space person that's out there that none of you would have heard of, not none of you, but a lot of people wouldn't have heard of without me. Isaac Arthur. These are people that I retweet on Twitter. Oh, wow, this show is getting way up beyond Bitcoin also. I have fun doing these shows. All right, so we talked about Mountain West freedom. And yes, governors have a lot of power in the United States. That's why these governors in the Mountain West use your state constitutions to do what you got to do. It'll get more people because some of these states are really far gone now. But hey, that's the cool thing about the United States. If you think California is too far gone, like I do, then don't go to California, which I don't go to. And I hang out in Salt Lake City, which is great, which is it's a freedom state, and nobody bought. People have their craziness here, but people too. But let them do their thing. They let me do my thing, and so the busybody aspect of the East Coast is not here. All right. There's some woke aspects of it, but the busybody, I got to control your life, is not here. And governors can definitely, on a political level, can definitely get the busybody government out of people's lives very easily in these states. Yeah, so artificial intelligence, don't be scared. It's a cult. It's a scared cult from Silicon Valley, all right? It is going to improve our lives so much. There shouldn't be a 6-month moratorium. People could die during that time that might be saved from AI cracking cancer or something like that. All right? There's no reason, and it's the cat's out of the bag. It's private groups that control the AI. It's not like the United States slowed down nuclear, United States and Russia agreed to nuclear agreements once upon a time. Yeah, because only 2 entities had it back then, and then maybe 3, 4, 5. Individuals didn't have nuclear capability. AI is already in the private. Thank God AI is not dominated by governments. There's a lot of fear mongering out there that, China's going to do so well with AI. We got to get our act together. We got our act together, okay? In terms of if we don't regulate this stuff in the United States, if we let these private institutions keep on going, and I know some of you don't like Google, and some of you don't like Facebook, let them run with this stuff. Whatever China pumps up will be child's play. It already is child's play to what they're pumping out, okay? And all you people that said Zuckerberg was stupid about calling his company Meta, now do you see where he's going with this? In the metaverse, AI is going to be very important. It's sad. It's really sad that people don't have real physical friends anymore. But in the metaverse that Facebook Meta will have, they will create fake friends for you that will seem like real human beings. They will be your fake wife. And I know that's pathetic also. But on a certain level, at least she can't steal from you. But on another level, by the way, these AI fake people out there, and the woke people are eventually going to turn and say, like, we need to give these people rights. We can't turn them off. All this no, they won't be real people in the end of the day, okay? They're going to seem like real people, all right? They're going to do a lot of real things. They're going to be deflationary. They're going to spend money and hoard money, which includes Bitcoin, by the way. It's going to be great for Bitcoin, this AI stuff. So don't buy into this cult that Eliezer uses Kalski or whoever has, and that unfortunately, Lex Fridman is like, he's like, well, how about the love in the world? How about the danger? How about the world ends? Blah, 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 blah. Dude, the other, and Lex understands the other side of things too, that it could, it could cure, we could live to 200 real soon because of AI. It's a golden age. So I think Eliezer, I butcher his name. He's such a smart guy, but I think he's kind of power hungry. He wants to control the situation. He sees that this cannot be centralized. This AI stuff is totally decentralized. Yuval Noah Harari is a statist. That is why he is against this stuff. He thinks that we need, or the governments need to all come together and just like we did on climate change. I mean, it's Yuval is a genius, yet he says idiotic things because in the end of the day, he needs a boss. He needs a boss. It's disgusting. He is not a confident decentralist. So you can be a genius like Yuval Noah Harari, okay? But when your like underlying premise in life is that, there's no free will. He doesn't believe in free will. That, there needs to be some authenticator out there, some centralized authenticator. No, be your own authenticator. Decentralization is the evolution. Is sophistication, is our cultural evolution. Yuval Noah Harari can be decentralized on certain things, but oh God, he could be so cringeworthy on others. It is so horrifying. And so he believes in taking it slow with AI also. So you can be someone who just defaults to authority and say, look at all these smart people but there are plenty of smart people that believe in the Silicon Valley cult of regulating AI, that it's going to destroy the whole world. But no, think for yourself, dudes. Think for your own safety. Think for your own life. Think that your mom, this could extend your mother's life right now. It could come up with stuff real soon that could, and think about if you just had a loved one that passed away, or who is, that could pass away in the next 6 months. Why wait? Why wait on any technology? Oh, God, it's disgusting. All right. Finally, Bronny James, I want to talk about for all you sports fans out there. The Bronny Jamesification of America, I call it. Bronny James is one of the sons of LeBron James. LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players of all times. And people knew LeBron James was going to become one of the greatest basketball players of all time when he was in high school. Okay. And people became obsessed. The internet was not as big back then, but he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I mean, it was amazing. They wanted him to become not even become a senior in high school. They wanted him to enter the NBA after his junior year, but they weren't going to allow that. Okay. So it was a very interesting, unique situation that had never occurred before. LeBron James was unique, and he says a lot of stupid things now, but he's had a great career. And no one can deny that all the expectations, the world of expectations of LeBron James, he has fulfilled his expectations. And it kind of became a template of worship of sports stars. Like, people started following him. There was no team loyalty. He left Cleveland, went to Miami. It's very impulsive, some of the things that he did. And it changed the way young people look at sports now, which is kind of unfortunate. But at the same time, what America loves, what Western culture loves, are these singularly unique individuals that are easy to worship, easy to understand. He's going to be great with basketball. He's going to be great with basketball. And they always want the next one. They want the next one. And what's the simplest way of generating the next one? Well, his son. It must be his son. We must follow every aspect of his son the same way we did with him. And that's wrong. His son isn't him. His son won't be the number one guy. He might be the number 10 guy in the draft or something like that. Everyone knows right now his son isn't him. And it's unfair, actually, to his son. His son is no villain. But a lot of people like to vilify his son because he's LeBron James' son. I'm not saying that his son's a victim or anything like that. You should, feel hard. But what they're doing with his son right now is just creating this whole character, the rebirth, the second coming of LeBron James. And that is the simplest thing for the media to do, the simplest story for the media to tell. The simplest mainstream media narrative out there is the second coming of something that was great that everybody easily worshipped. And so that happens in so many aspects. It's the easiest story to understand. And that's the narratives that the media love. So, Bronny James, dude, don't follow. It's going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's pointless. It's nothing but a media narrative that everyone can be kind of warm and fuzzy and easy to understand. And it's family, it's this, it's that. It's, we're seeing it happen again, and maybe he'll be better. No, worry about real things in life. But it's going to become a bigger and bigger and bigger story. And I just want to say, it's not going to end too well. First, we're going to waste a lot of time with it. But the dude isn't going to be... there's one LeBron James, dude. And that's cool. If you care about sports, that's cool. Look, there's one LeBron James. There's one you, all right? And that's better than there's one LeBron James. There's one unique beast out there that's listening to my voice out there. Don't worry about these centralized heroes, okay? Don't get into hero worship. Learn from LeBron James. Learn from what, you've seen him, go from a 16-year-old to a 38-year-old. There are things to learn from mainstream people like that, okay? And to see how he's shaped the mainstream narrative and how easily the mainstream narrative, can create things that are just so distracting out of something that was, somewhat entertaining at one point. All right, that's it, dudes. But LeBronification of the United States in terms of mainstream media culture out there. All right, what do you vote for in a general election with Trump as a Republican and RFK out? What would I do? I would have. Again, I'm a Bitcoin. It's all about the Bitcoin here, okay? So Trump's regime will not incorporate what's her face, Elizabeth Warren. Biden's easily could. Because first of all, the Trump regime was pretty bad with Bitcoin too. They could be convinced otherwise though. So I mean, best regime with Bitcoin would be Vivek and then RFK, then DeSantis, and then it'd be a huge fallout after that. But in a four-way race, who would I vote for between DeSantis, RFK, Trump, and Biden? Well, I still registered in Maryland, so I would have to see how the polls were. I might have to vote for RFK in that situation, so that because Maryland's so heavily Democrat that so Biden doesn't get the electoral college point from it'd be very strategic what I would have to do in a four-way race. I can't tell you right now, but of those guys there's four guys who I think would make the best president of the United States for the things that I care about. It would be DeSantis. But RFK is gaining because he tells the truth about the virus too. Just like, but I just have to be more confident in I don't like the regulatory state growing under RFK. I don't. That's a principle of mine. That's a big principle of mine. I think he'll probably make certain aspects of government smaller, but I'm not confident that RFK Jr. will make the Department of the Environment larger. And I could see a guy like, on a second term of DeSantis, maybe getting rid of the Department of Education. Oh my God, that would be so great. RFK's not getting rid of the Department of Education. Again, Vivek is not in a four-way race, but we just, was part of this video, if you go back in time, is that there really could be in a four-way race between Trump, Biden, and DeSantis. Trump, Biden, DeSantis, and Kennedy, RFK. So that's interesting stuff that's out there. But you're going to have to be strategic about that vote in terms of what state you're in at that point. All right. And I don't know what will happen in the Electoral College. It'd be very, for all you political junkies out there, four-way between Trump, independent RFK, Democrat Biden, and Republican DeSantis. I don't know. But I do know if the Democrats were smart, they would. Some of them are so power hungry that are already in power. They know he's senile, but they are doing so. They have so much power because of him. The status quo is so entrenched and happy. They don't care that he's senile. They say 2 + 2 = 5. They say he's totally fine. It's similar to saying that 2 + 2 = 5. That Joe Biden's brain hasn't deteriorated. Watch a video of Joe Biden from 2010, okay, and just you can see how sharp he was then compared to now. I mean, it's like 2 + 2 = 5, dudes. But no, if they truly love their party, which they shouldn't put party over principle at all. But what they've put is power over party and principle. Raw power over party and principle. Principle should be number one. But if they cared about party at all, they would just put Gavin Newsom in there. As I said beforehand, he would easily become. He would have a much better shot than. It would be much less complicated. I'm Adam Meister, Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Pound that like button and just retweet this. And I'll see you guys later. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll make some nice tweet clips out of this. I have fun doing this stuff. Bye bye. Thanks, guys.